there. Welcome to Top of Mind. Real talk for today's woman. With Anna and Karen.
Hello, we're back. So, Anna, you've done pretty good. You've only taken off the hat once. So,
well, I think I said like today I had a tennis match this morning, and then I had a practice.
she wears big earrings to tennis matches, just so you know. Yes.
Well, I don't wear earrings. Some people do, but I put these on because I have a hat head. So that's why I put the hat back on, and I'm like, nah, fudge it.
Okay.
F it, man.
F it, man. Yeah, we're all raw here, you know?
That's right.
So, when we're figuring out what we want to do, I threw out a quote, something I've been pondering the last week. So I'll grab a quote somebody says from somewhere, and I have heard this before, and I can't remember exactly what I was looking at when I thought about this, but this is a quote. An unexamined life is not worth living, which is from Socrates, I believe. That's what I've written down.
Okay.
So an unexamined life is not worth living. And I think getting a little bit personal about this, I think where this came from, I was chatting with a friend of mine, an AA buddy, and we were talking about how we have to examine things. We examine our life, we examine our motives, we examine the other person, we examine the situation. Oh my God. Like every night you do what's called a 10th step, and that means you have to reflect on the day and basically look at the things that went well, and more importantly, the things that didn't. We tried through life stepping on other people's toes, just trying to live our life. And so we're talking about, I don't remember who, but possibly people that aren't in the program, right? So that don't have the ability to kind of look and examine themselves, don't want to, shy away from it. How do you lead? How do you work with people? I've been in many meetings where they say, I wish my husband was in the damn program, because they're doing all the work. We're doing all the work, type of thing sometimes. That's just how it feels, okay? So, but that's where it's like, the thought came up, an unexamined life is not worth living. So I have no idea how not to do this any different. I remember when I was about 15, I grew up in the beaches, which used to be very artistic with used bookstores and that. And I started searching for the answer of why I felt the way I was and what had happened to me in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I started and I never stopped. It's taken me on all sorts of trajectories all over the place. But I do know that there are people out there. I mean, I talk to people on a daily basis, and sometimes they're examining their lives through me, through coaching and things like that,
Right.
or through AA sponsorship, all that type of stuff. In the meantime, they're talking about partners that aren't examining their lives, that do it in a different way. Maybe it's subtler, maybe it's quieter. There's also different levels as well. Some people don't have insight. I have worked with people that really don't have insight. And you have to teach that.
Okay.
So anyway, for me, it was like really profound. Like, there are times when it's hard. There are times when it's like, I don't want to do this. I mean, in AA, they have you do a 4-step, which is a total moral inventory of yourself. That you look at all the warts. Who the hell wants to look at all the warts? But not only do you have to look at it, you have to tell somebody. So I don't want to live an examined life. Thank you very kindly. It's not always easy. I do want to live an examined life. I am, but it's not always easy, because to me, it takes a lot of courage to do that. So that's what I've been thinking about lately is, with that comes difficulty. It comes courage, comes bravery. And I don't know today, first of all, I don't know how to live any other way. And I don't know that I would want to.
And I so I love like the Stoics. I study the Stoics.
Yeah.
And so I struggle with this.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. I remember like I think of what is a well-lived life. And, again, I'm going to be very raw. God, I feel so emotional today. I wasn't emotional, but Jesus, your love thing put me over the edge. And now I'm going to talk about something else. And hey, anyway, because I was thinking, like, last year I pondered a lot about what is a well-lived life. And to be honest with you, I was thinking about it as I had the lens of judgment on, and as it related to my older sister, who, as long as I've been an adult, has had a struggle with addiction issues. Um, so I've never known my sister without addiction issues. And then as you know, my sister died, my mom died, things got worse for my sister. Like she broke her ankle and she was so drunk she didn't call me until like 8 o'clock in the morning, so she had laid there for 4 hours with a broken ankle. um, and she had diabetes, and she ended up with her leg amputated, and she ended up not being able to leave her house. And I'm looking as to whether or not that was was she living a life well lived. um, and then the weird thing is, she died. She was in the hospital. She came home, and her aide had called me, and I, of course, was playing. I was on the paddle court, and then I went up there. And honestly, Karen, it's I looked at her, and for the first time, you know, I saw a 10-year-old little girl, and probably all the demons that 10-year-old little girl carried around. I mean, when I tell you again, truth bombs, I literally saw her as a girl, as a little girl. I didn't see her as my sister. I looked at her and I said, "Oh my God." And then I was like, here I was, getting more and more frustrated because as my mom died, my sister and I, had to take care of her, had to, pay her rent, had to, go to her aid. And, I devalued because of my definition of what a well-lived life should look like. And so that's kind of when I talk about an unexamined life. I mean, is her life any less? Was it any less than mine because I go through these steps? And I do, like, and I'm sure you've heard it too, like and again, I'm not sure how I feel about this, but we have soul contracts. And there's part of the woo woo part of it says that before like we ever enter this earth, we pick our parents. Like, we are here in this life to learn lessons. And they're, as a soul, these are lessons that we know we're coming in for. And there's some of them are really freaking hard. I mean, you talk about some of the things that you've endured and some of the things that I've endured. And then, so that's where I struggle with the unexamined life, because I'm surrounded by both sides.
Right.
I'm surrounded by great people like you and, my coaches and my friends and my networking that were so more in tune to that. But then I'm also, surrounded by friends and, people from my childhood that are just kind of just living their life. They don't have the awareness of they're the creator. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
So that's where I struggle with that.
Mm-hmm.
I can see it, but then I feel like, if I'm considering that somebody else is living an unexamined life, then what lens am I looking at them through?
And I don't see, when I hear the quote, I don't think about it being you unexamining your life. I think what I hear is that this is about me understanding it's a real gift when I live an examined life for me.
And I agree with that. 100%.
And that's self-knowledge,
Yes.
that's self-love, all that type of stuff. And if you're not living that life, you don't know it. You don't know what you're missing.
Right. But to say, is it not, like, it is not worth living?
Well, I think it's, and I don't
Help me with that.
Yeah, well, when I hear it, I don't think about it being a judgment on anybody else. I don't think about me looking and saying your unexamined life is not worth living. I think that it's all I heard was, and look at is my life. An unexamined life is not worth living to me, for me.
And knowing, again, the Stoics and the work I've done, the last thing they do is judgment.
Yeah.
That's not in the vocabulary. It's all about, greatness within and our responsibility. But that's just kind of, it's weird that when you talked about it, that's where my mind went.
Yeah.
And I went through this whole thing about what is a well-lived life for myself.
Yes.
What, and again, just being raw to say that it was, I looked at the life that my sister had led. Now, keep in mind, my sister, she didn't have much, but she would give you the frickin' shirt off her back without hesitation. Like if it could have been, if you needed it more than her, she would give it to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, that's kind of.
Yeah. And I don't think the quote is meant to be a qualifier. Like just, I know your mind went there, but I don't think it's meant to be a qualifier, because then you start qualifying everybody's life, what's worth living in that. I think that it's, when you go back to the Stoics, it's about their personal creed.
Yes, it
Like,
is. Yep.
Stoicism is all about my personal creed, how I live my life, how I view things, the power that I have in that. And basically what they're saying is that you must examine your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and I agree.
Yeah. So when you flip it and say,
You got some Nanu Nanu got one on there.
Yeah, really, what is that? Well, who was it that did that? Was that Mork and Mindy? What?
Literally, man, you're like,
Williams? Wow, that was weird.
I'm so sorry, but did you guys notice?
All right, quit picking on me. So Anna needs some comic relief.
I did, thank you, because it was very emotional for me.
Yeah, this whole month, which we did in 1 hour. It's funny, we get these themes, and this one's been very touchy, very, very emotional, very raw. So, but yeah, no, when you flip it, it's like, what is a life worth living? I think that's also very personal to each and every one of us, and it goes back to our core values, right? For some, a life worth living is stealing cars and doing stuff like that and making big money, whichever way you go, so, but anyway, it was a good quote. One of the things that I like about quotes is that they make you think. They go,
Yes.
Take a look when something hits you. Like I'm always writing down and typing into notes here so that I can think about it and ponder it later. Sometimes in a meditation, and that 3 minutes that I do in quiet afterwards with nothing running through my mind, which Anna had challenged me to, and now I do regularly. But yeah, anyway.
I know, and I think it's good because, again, like that's, so you saw where my mind went. Like this is the first I heard of the quote. So,
and you were surprised it was Socrates. I saw that look.
Right? I was very surprised. Like, as I said, because I mean, I'm very, very much into Stoicism, but I just found it so interesting. And again, when you talk about a not worth living, I think of life well lived. So just the opposite, not the opposite, but a different variation of it. So yeah.
I just had to double check, make sure it was Socrates, or you'd nail me later. It was, yes.
Oh, yeah. Listen, we massacre everything.
I know.
Like, come on. So I would nail you later. It's just part of us.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, I find that very, very, it is an interesting quote, and thank you for and I love how we talk about things, because I kind of went in a different way, and you're like, well, this is how I look at it, and yeah, so I love that. Yeah. And
I think that we would love to hear what your thoughts are on this. How did this quote strike you? So again, an unexamined life is not worth living. Yeah.
It's actually not easy to do either. You're in the groove. Like,
an unexamined life is not worth living. Anyway.
Yeah. So truly, we would love to hear your feedback. Like Karen said, like, tell us, like, what did this say to you? Like, how did it speak to you? And if so, how? And in what way?
Thank you. So thanks for joining us. My name is Karen Vale. I am a confidence and lifestyle, a confidence and life coach, and I am here with Anna.
I am your midlife mentor.
Anna Jennings. Thanks. See you next time.